Pitch Perfect 3 was released in 2017. This is directed by Trish Sie, and it's written by Kay Cannon and Mike White, and we have a cast including Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, Brittany Snow, and many others. And the performances are very good, the vocal performances are brilliant. The film itself is a little bit dull. I didn't hate it, but I feel like the Pitch Perfect films have gotten worse with each one, which is not the most surprising thing. That does often happen when we have film sequels, but it's not always the case. But with this one, I definitely feel like this is the weakest of the three. This one takes place 3 years after the previous film, and the Bellas have all graduated from university and they're all living their lives and working their jobs, but they get a chance to come together and they are singing on this USO tour, and it's about them preparing for this performance, so the competition, and obviously with various people they interact with, and they also have their own personal problems and things back in their life, and it gives them a chance to kind of evaluate where they are and where they were and where they're going. And in terms of the character development, yeah, it's not too bad based on the previous two films and where the characters are now. Obviously some time has passed and I do feel like the characters have had some decent progression, but they still feel like themselves as well, which is obviously very important. But other than that, I didn't really care for this. I didn't really think that the narrative was particularly interesting. And it's not necessarily bad. There's nothing about it that doesn't work very well. I just didn't really care for it. And the music wasn't really to my taste either. I think Toxic was probably my favourite song in this. There were songs that I definitely didn't recognise, and in general the soundtrack just, again, for me at least, didn't feel like it was as good as the previous ones. So I didn't really care for this. It's not terrible. It probably does have the energy of a third film, and unfortunately that means that it's quite weak. The narrative is fine, but it's not that interesting. The characters have had some good development, but they still feel like themselves. I think that works quite well. The musical performances are good, but I didn't care for a lot of the songs, and in general, I just thought it was a little bit flat. I like the concept. I like the idea of seeing their lives after university and what they're getting up to. I think that was quite interesting, so I don't think they shouldn't have done this. Sometimes when it comes to a third films, there's a general consensus that they really should have stopped at the second one. But actually, I don't mind that this one exists, but I didn't really enjoy the experience. It's not bad. It's fine. I wasn't rushing to see it, evidently, when it first came out. And I'm not going to say it was worth the wait. It definitely wasn't worth the 7 or 8 year wait, depending on exactly when it came out. But it was fine. It was okay. I didn't mind it. And according to IMDb, there is a listing for Pitch Perfect 4, but there's absolutely no information there other than the writer. I have absolutely no idea if they're actually going to go ahead with this or not. I'm sure bigger Pitch Perfect fans than me will know if that's going to be the case or not, so please feel free to share. But I imagine not. I would imagine they're not going to be doing a fourth one. Actually, Anna Kendrick quashed rumours in 2024. Well, actually, she quashed rumours that she was going to be directing it. I'm not reading too much into this. I don't think there'll be a fourth one, but if anybody else knows anything about that, please feel free to share. I will watch it if there is one, put it that way. I didn't love this, but I'd be curious to see what happens next. Nevertheless, while I didn't think this was amazing and I thought the narrative was a bit weak, the characters were interesting enough. The music didn't really appeal to me, but it was fine. If you like the previous films, I'd say check it out. If you didn't like Pitch Perfect 2, if you felt like it maybe wasn't capturing the essence of the first film well enough to be a worthy sequel, I'd say the third one's probably not worth watching because it does feel like the weakest. But if you're interested, if you've been considering it, give it a go. I didn't love it, but I guess it's okay.